Well, we're joined now by HuskerOnline Sean Callahan. Sean, good morning. We'll get to that camp in a second, but the news from earlier this week is that Nebraska had a Jalen Gramstad, the NAIA Player of the Year, a quarterback from Northwestern in Iowa. He was in Lincoln, and he was at the post-grad camp. What is the update in terms of how that went and where Nebraska stands with Jalen Gramstad, Sean?
Yeah, nothing official yet as far as if they're going to bring him into the team. Because if this happens, he'd join the team officially. But I do think there's some traction, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if this happens. So, I think they were just doing some due diligence and some more homework on him. He didn't, they didn't know he was even coming until he showed up at 1:00. I mean, I think when you had the Peru State and the Midland coaches there, I mean, they're NAIA teams. They were floored too. They're like, the NAIA Player of the Year just is here throwing for Nebraska. So it was quite a story. And then as a kid that just loves Nebraska, he wants to be a Husker. He's played in 2 national championship games. He's won 1. He's been the Player of the Year. He's done really all he can at that level. And, I think he wanted to work out and just kind of get an idea. I don't think he realized, though, there was going to be other coaches there from other schools and also about 7 or 8 reporters watching. So I don't think he was expecting it to get out like it did. So it's all happened pretty quick for him. But there's no doubt I think he would come if the opportunity was extended.
For those that aren't as immersed in this world as we are, when you say he showed up, he showed up for a postgraduate camp. Explain that to people, Sean. What is this? What did he show up for?
Well, yeah, they had a postgraduate camp for people that are out of high school, and you can be anywhere from 19, 18 years old to 25 years old. I mean, you can be as old as you want to come to these things. He's in his entering his 5th year of college, and he works at a golf course. He worked in Orange, Iowa, at a golf course, and drove down at 9:30 after his golf course shift ended to come throw at Nebraska's camp. It started at 1:00, and it was a 2-hour plus camp where you first test and kind of do a combine style workout, and then you throw. So it wasn't a real lengthy workout by any means. But yeah, he just kind of took a flyer and grew up a lifelong Husker fan. Where he's from is really, really close to Sioux Falls. So it's,
okay.
It's past Sioux City, but closer to Sioux Falls, he said. It's kind of where he's from. Played his high school football at the same high school as Kyle Vanden Bosch, I believe.
Yeah, West Lyon.
That's right.
West Lyon. Jalen Gramstad is who we're talking about. He's a quarterback, NAIA Player of the Year. Now, Sean, why would he make sense for Nebraska, in your opinion?
Well, we've talked about this a lot, guys. Like, how do you find a fourth quarterback, a viable fourth quarterback that knows the situation at Nebraska? Because a lot of guys enter the portal usually because they want to play and they want to have a shot to play. And that's a tough sell to anybody like that. Well, here's a guy that's a national player of the year, loves Nebraska. He's from the region, understands the situation because he follows the program. So when he came to this camp, he knew who all the quarterbacks were. In fact, his first cousin, Javon Ducker, played with Daniel Callahan at Bellevue West. He's first cousins with the Ducker family in Omaha. So he knows the roster very well and the situation very well. But here's a guy that has played a lot of football, wants to maybe get into coaching, done all he can at the NAIA level. This would be a great person just to have in that room with those young quarterbacks, someone that's played in a lot of football, read a lot of defenses. He got 6,000 yards, played for 2 national championships, won a Player of the Year. Just having someone like that around Kalen and Raiola, just talking to him and being around, I think would be a benefit. And also just having a fourth quarterback. He could play 2 years because he's got a red shirt. So he could technically play up to 4 games, which I think would be a stretch unless there's injuries this year. You just don't know, and then he could still come back another year. And guess what? The transfer portal is always there, and you could lose one of those other quarterbacks if Raiola is really good this year. So it does make sense in a lot of reasons just to have a veteran like this, because it's very tough to keep good quarterbacks on your roster now in this transfer portal era.
Sean, they had a quarterback camp this past Saturday, also in Memorial Stadium. I'm curious, how important are those camps, and did they get how many offers came from that camp at all on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just Saturday. I mean, between Friday through Sunday, they had quarterbacks all 3 days. They made 3 offers, and what's interesting to me is they were all, kids that were 8th grade going into 9th grade or 9th grade going into 10th grade. They offered James Purcell out of the Chicago area at Maine South High School, which is right next to O'Hare Airport. I've been there many times with camps we ran over the years, but he's picked up a lot of offers. I thought the best player maybe they had at camp the whole weekend was an 8th grader going into 9th grade. His name's Ace Amina.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Las Vegas Bishop Gorman quarterback. He's from Hawaii, so he's a Polynesian, and he was outstanding. I the first 3 throws, I go, who is this guy? And then you do a little research, and you see that everywhere he's gone, he's picked up offers, and he's entering the 9th grade. Then Brady Quinn, no relation. I joked it'd be kind of like in that movie, The Office, the guy that had our Office Space that had the name Michael Bolton. I mean, that poor kid's got to ask, are you related to Brady Quinn? As far as I know, he's not related to Brady Quinn, but he's from Naples, Florida, picked up an offer as an 8th grader going into 9th grade.
Okay. Also, Nebraska got a verbal commitment over the weekend from Pierce Mooberry, who's a Millard North. Sean, he's a linebacker. He's a linebacker.
Simple. I had
a little problem
yesterday.
Sean got after me pretty hard because I intimated that maybe he could play tight end. He can play tight end, but he's not playing tight end at Nebraska. Sean, what?
The Babe in the Woods, Steve Sipple got taken out by the bear on that one.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, boy.
God. Pierce Mooberry, Sean, significance of this pickup.
He reminds me a lot. At Millard North, they had the Fisher brothers there many years ago, Cole and Sean. Long, lengthy guy, plays that in that old Millard North defense, played that roaming safety on the back end. They were notorious for their cover 1 man-to-man defense where they put their best defender in that roaming safety. He's played that role for 3 years for Fred Petito in that defense, and now we'll have a new head coach this year. But 6'4", great length, long arms, runs 4'6", 4'7". Matt Rule sees the upside and potential with him and what he can be. And that's part of recruiting too. It's not just where are you at now, it's where can you be? And when they recruit guys, I mean, Quinn Clark's a great example of that. Nebraska is really one of the only teams that recruited him. You see Quinn Clark walking around there and you're like, how is that the case? I mean, this guy is an outstanding athlete in everything he does. And I think they love Mooberry and his potential and just getting in the program. And he's a legacy guy. So another legacy on board in this class.
Regarding someone leaving the state, Sean, last night, Springfield Platteview tight end Ryman Zieber announces he's going to Stanford from Springfield Platteview. Was Nebraska in on him, and it was a surprise that he's leaving the state or not?
It's not really a surprise just because you could feel the way it was heading. Nebraska, in my opinion, was kind of backing off him. They took Bear Tenney already at tight end, and they really, really want Chase Lofton from Millard South.
Tight end.
How many tight ends can you really take? I mean, they took like 3 last year. I mean, they weren't going to take 3 this year. So I think just pure numbers. And if there's a position where you don't really get upset about losing a guy right now, it's probably tight end, because this state produces 3 or 4 every year that are Division I level, whether it's Power 4, FCS, or Group of 5 level guys. I mean, there's another kid at Papio South this year. He's going to Northern Illinois as a tight end. So there's just a plethora of tight ends, and happy for Ryman. I mean, that's a great opportunity he's going to get at Stanford. He was down to Stanford and Duke were the 2 that he was considering.
He's going to go play in the ACC. Chase Lofton, where is it Nebraska at with Chase Lofton, the Millard South tight end, whom I think you could make a case as the best player in the state?
Yeah, I think, there's a camp for Christian Jones, but I think when you look at the visits and the recruiting attention he's receiving, he is the most regarded player right now in Nebraska. I mean, he was just at Florida State this last weekend. I mean, he's been at A&M. I mean, he's got big time teams bringing him in, and that's how you really measure recruiting. Who are the teams bringing you in for your official visits in June? Not the March and April ones that you pay your own way. It's the officials in June that really let you know. But he'll be in June 21st. Nebraska definitely has their work cut out for him, though. I mean, they've got a lot of competition. Missouri and A&M, though, have been the two trips he's taken, as well as Florida State. He got A&M this weekend. He's been to Missouri. He's been to Florida State. So, I mean, that's a pretty good list of visits for a local prospect to go on. You don't really, like Carter Nelson did a similar tour of trips last year, and he's a premium, highly recruited tight end right now. And our people have been pretty set on him as the top prospect in Nebraska. And I know there was some pushback because there's definitely people. I think Christian Jones is a good player, but they just see the upside and the value more of him as a long-term pro prospect at his position versus the inside linebacker type position.
Last thing, Sean. Last week, you and Sip traveled down to Texas for the satellite camp, and you guys showed up to the airport in Omaha, and Sip had no clothes with him.
I had the clothes on my back.
What was going through your mind at this time, Sean, for your travels?
Well, what was going through your mind? I'm interested in this.
Well, I've known Sip for a long time,
right.
20-some years. So I've dealt with Sip in all angles, so I understand him. And I just said,
"Wow, Sean!"
I just said, you're just gonna have to buy clothes there, Sip.
Yeah. Yeah, you handled it really well. I mean, we were on the phone when it dawned on me. Hey, Sean, I didn't bring my luggage.
Well, and we flew into Waco, or we flew into Dallas on a Southwest flight, and there's only one of those a day in Omaha. And then we had to drive to Waco, which is 90 minutes. So it wasn't like you could just take the next flight and come later.
No.
With the rental car. So we just figured it out and had a lot of fun
in Target.
Going on a shopping spree in Target. Trying to explain to Sip what the Target Circle app was and all the things that you learn in Target. So yeah, he had a
Circle app. Well, you were in a big hurry, Sean, but we got it done. We got it done.
I went there just to buy sunscreen to protect my head.
Yeah.
Sip left there with 3 bags of clothes.
He left some on the airport on the way back too. It sounds like
great.
Great. Sean, thanks for the time. Appreciate you. We'll chat with you next week.
Thanks, guys.